Hello, welcome back to the You at Your Best podcast. I'm your host, Morgan. So, right now, my baby is sitting in front of me in like a swing that my boyfriend's grandparents bought for her. It's like an indoor swing, kind of. And it's so cute. She's just looking at me smiling while I'm recording this. But I've been really struggling with my podcast here lately. I've had a really hard time having motivation for it, mostly because I am working on bettering myself in so many ways. And I just don't know, really how to focus on doing all of that while also focusing on this. I have been focusing on learning how to create a home, and that means how my home is decorated, because right now it's not decorated very great, and I've never really liked how it was decorated, but for so long I told myself that we can't afford anything else, we have to use only what we have. But after learning so much about manifesting and believing in things, I've realized that I was only putting myself in that mindset. And of course, it's important to be realistic and not to blow my money, but I do know that it's really important to me to create a home, and that means also maybe spending a little bit extra money on things for my home that make it look good and that make me happy. And we only live in an apartment right now, so it's not, I guess since we live in an apartment, I find myself feeling I don't feel as much pressure to make it perfect right now, because I know that we're not going to always be here. We're in a 1-bedroom apartment and we have a baby, so as she gets older, we'll definitely be moving out. We would love to buy a house right now. Right now, my boyfriend has just been frantically looking at different houses to buy, different land to buy, so maybe we could build on it. And all of this is happening while we have very little money, but it's just manifesting and believing that you'll always get what you want, no matter what. Even if it takes a little bit longer than you want, it's okay, because you know that it's going to come to you. And then also, I've been learning a lot, how to, cooking and stuff, because I've never really enjoyed cooking, and I've always had a really hard time whenever it comes to thinking about what to make. It's overwhelming. I would save a bunch of recipes, and then I would go on there and look at all those recipes, and none of them really worked for me, and none of them seemed easy at the time. It just seemed overwhelming and stressful, and I didn't really have the energy to cook. And then we would also buy groceries, and then they would go bad a lot. Recently, we got rid of a bunch of food and gave them to a woman who's going to donate them to some people, and that has helped a lot. But right now we have no food in our apartment, and we're fortunate enough that my mom and grandmother buy a lot of the basics for us whenever it comes to groceries. But a lot of the time, I just really struggle with figuring out what to make, figuring out what foods I need to buy. So I've really been focusing on learning about that, and just learning about how to find a way to create a home. And that's a part of creating a home, is cooking. And I've found that I actually enjoy it whenever I don't make it so difficult. Just my brain makes everything so difficult. Being neurodivergent doesn't help. And then another thing I've been focusing on is finding my personal style, because after having a baby, I feel like I'm a different person, and the way that I used to dress just doesn't make sense for me anymore. And then on top of that, my body is so different, so the way that I used to dress doesn't look good on my body anymore, which is okay. I don't think that's a bad thing. Of course, I've had some issues with my postpartum body, but all in all, I try to remind myself that my body is so beautiful and it's different now, and everything that it's done, I shouldn't hate it. I should be grateful for it. And even if it's not looking exactly how I want it to, of course it's okay to manifest that you're going to have a better body, manifest your dream body. That's totally okay. But manifesting from a state of I'm only doing this because I hate myself, that will never fix anything, and that'll only leave you feeling like it's never happening because you're focusing so much on what you need instead of focusing on loving yourself. And like a huge part of manifesting is really noticing what you need in the moment. So like doing self-care every single day. And self-care doesn't just mean like cleaning because it makes you feel better, or brushing your teeth or taking a shower, like basic hygiene. Self-care is actually going out and doing things that you love, doing yoga, just doing things that put you in a very peaceful state of mind. And I can honestly say that I have a really hard time with that. I really struggle with being consistent with that, because even though I know it's good for me, it sounds so boring in the moment. And whenever you have ADHD, if it sounds boring, it feels impossible to do it, and it's honestly exhausting to make yourself do it. And so I've been really struggling with that, but I also know that whenever you manifest, you can manifest anything, and I can manifest that I do this stuff. And I know like some people will say like that's just discipline, like just having discipline. A lot of the time with a neurodivergent brain, discipline doesn't help. It's just exhausting. Forcing yourself to have discipline whenever you are so overwhelmed or something just makes you so bored that it makes you sad. Like that doesn't help at all. And discipline, yes, it's so important whenever you have ADHD, but it's just different. And telling someone that they're lazy or they just need discipline whenever they have ADHD, that doesn't help anything. And I've really found that like I've been just focusing so much on bettering myself in general and like finding my style. Like I said, I kind of got off track there, but my style is something that has changed so much after having a baby. And in all honesty, even whenever I knew my style, I didn't fully know it. And like there were times where I would dress in ways that didn't feel like me, but I was just kind of playing a character and just dressing however was trendy at the time. And I think that's a huge part in finding yourself. Like you kind of just go through a stage where you dress really trendy, but during that time life was horrible. And like I'm gonna be completely honest, it was horrible. I was really struggling with my mental health, really struggling with mental illness, and just going through a lot that I still go through to a certain extent now, but it's nowhere near as bad. And I remember whenever I first started my podcast, I'm sure you guys are aware, I've restarted my podcast so many times. I was in such a horrible headspace that it was like I felt so much shame about who I was. Everything about me, like I just absolutely hated everything about myself. And going through that while also trying so hard to follow my dreams and create a podcast, that was so difficult. And then on top of that, just living in a very unhealthy environment, feeling unsafe to be myself fully. It was hard. And I don't want to say that like during that time I would always look back at my past self and like the way that I used to dress, and I absolutely hated myself. Like I just wished that version of myself was gone. And that's a sign that I was in a really bad headspace at the time, because now whenever I look back at my past selves, I just see that like that's another version of me. That's still who I am. That person is not gone. That's still literally me, the same body that's always been here. I may be way different on a spiritual level, on an emotional level, but it's still me. And I don't hate any parts of myself anymore. I feel like I really appreciate all of those parts of me. It's so weird how much a person can heal, especially someone who is going through so much that I was going through. I've never been like diagnosed with anything. I say that I have autism and ADHD, and I know for a fact that I do, and self-diagnosing is totally okay, and going to get diagnosed is something that I really plan on doing, but mental illness is something that I've struggled with for so long, and I truly believe that I also have OCD, maybe CPTSD from growing up autistic, and it's whenever you have all those things, you're not in a good headspace. And I had a lot of people that really disliked me because I really disliked myself. And all of that happening just created more shame and more guilt and more complete anger and hatred towards myself. I didn't understand like why I was the way that I was, and I absolutely hated myself. I knew there were a lot of people that really hated being around me too, and that just made it so much worse. During that time, it was like I just struggled so much, and I was going through so much, and I just look back and I feel so bad for myself and everything that I put myself through. But I also feel bad for the people that were in my life during that time, because like it's not like I did anything horrible. Like I didn't treat people like crap. It was mostly internalized, and I didn't really outwardly do anything, but they could still tell. Like people being around me, they just felt uncomfortable. And I know a huge part of that is also just me being autistic and those people not really understanding my brain, which makes sense because they didn't know I was autistic. I didn't know I was autistic. And also, like, if you're not autistic, you're not going to understand an autistic brain. But I was really going through so much, and I just look back and I didn't know myself at all. And my style really reflected that. I was listening to music that didn't feel like me, which, like, I still love the music that I listened to then. I'm not going to say that, like, all of that is gone. Like, I still love listening to, like, Sleeping with Sirens sometimes. I still love that type of music. But honestly, sometimes whenever I listen back to it, I get incredibly sad because I think about that headspace that I was in whenever I was listening to that type of music and just, like, screamo and everything. And it's really hard going back to that place sometimes. I'm slowly getting to the point to where I can listen to that music again because I truly do like how it sounds. And it really does feel nice listening to it, but whenever you have a negative attachment to certain music, it can be really hard to listen to it. But like also my music taste has expanded so much, and along with that, my style has. As I'm finding myself, I'm realizing that a lot of the stuff that back then I felt like I absolutely hated, and I know hated is a strong word, but I genuinely felt like I hated like certain styles for myself. And I'm going to be honest, even for other people. I felt like people were not stylish enough or whatever, and in a way kind of felt like I was above people. I was in a very narcissistic headspace at the time. And now, like, I've evolved so much and my style has really started to come around, and that's something that I've been really working on too, is just like doing research on how to find your personal style, because before I'd never really understood how to do that. I would just see what people were wearing on TikTok that was trending, and I wore that too. And like I was really into like dressing like in black. My favorite colors to wear were black, red, pink, and white. And like I was really into those colors. After doing my color analysis, I realized that black is actually a really bad color for me. And like the type of red that I was wearing was a really bad color for me, which is just weird because like even now, black is always a staple for me, but it does wash me out. I have noticed that if I'm not wearing makeup or if I'm not wearing something that's like white with it, then it doesn't really work for me that well. And then red too, like the type of red that I was wearing. And a lot of the colors that like are really great for my skin tone and my like everything, my eyes, skin, hair, all that together for my color analysis, those were all colors that I really hated back then. And if I did my color analysis back then, I would have like freaked out, especially seeing that black wasn't allowed. Not really allowed, but black didn't work well for me. Like now I see that like all of those colors, they really do feel like me, and I really do feel drawn to them whenever I'm actually focusing on myself and who I am. And at the time I had no idea who I was. I had no idea why I was even alive. Like honestly, like I didn't know the point in my life. It kind of just felt like pointless because I wasn't doing anything. I didn't have any purpose. And of course I was working on my podcast at some point, and that's whenever like I really started getting better. But even then, like I didn't know what I wanted to do with my podcast. I didn't know who I was. And I just really had a hard time with being authentic because I didn't know what authenticity looked like for me. And I think a huge part of that is also just growing up autistic, being judged over everything, people kind of just pushing you out of being who you are because everything that you do is considered wrong to everyone else. So I was in a place where like I genuinely didn't even know myself or like anything. I didn't know how to act around people. I didn't know who I was. I would have panic attacks all the time. I struggled with friendships, and that's something that I still struggle with now. Not because friendships are hard for me, but because of the anxiety of making friends. I'm well aware that I would be amazing with friendships, but then I get these like a bunch of intrusive thoughts that are just like it's just hard sometimes. And like I said, I still do struggle with mental illness and all that stuff and whatever it is that's going on. If it's, I don't know if I had borderline personality disorder, I have no idea. I said had. I know that's something that you kind of struggle with your whole life, but I do truly believe that you can outgrow these things whenever you really align with your soul. Your soul doesn't have borderline personality disorder, but your human body does. I don't know how I feel about that with autism because I still feel like autism is a huge part of me, and I know a lot of people say to let go of labels, but also whenever you're autistic, it creates how your brain is wired, it creates who you are. And I feel like without being autistic, I wouldn't be who I am today. But this podcast has gone somewhere that I did not expect it to go. But I'm at a place now where I'm really focusing on me, and I feel like I'm doing a bunch of things at once that if I did them all before, I would have had a really hard time and it would have been really overwhelming. Like if I focused on learning how to create a home, be a better homemaker, I guess, how to cook, how to decorate and organize, how to have my personal style, my podcast, all of that. Focusing on all of that at once before would have just been so overwhelming, but now it's just like fun. Like I love it. It's truly becoming a special interest for me. And if you have ADHD or autism, like that's something that you can do. If you're having a really hard time doing something, you can trick your brain into creating a special interest in that, and then it's like game over and you're doing it all the time until like you accidentally make it bad in your head. But that's why I've been having a little bit of a hard time with my podcast because I feel like I'm changing and growing and evolving so much in such little time that I have a really hard time, like a lot of shame, I guess, just like my old episodes. And this is the reason why I've restarted my podcast so many times, just feeling like I don't know if the episodes that I've made are what I want them to be anymore. And it's hard. Like I go through this every single time I restart my podcast. It's like no matter what I do, I always start to question, like, is my podcast good enough? And I know that's normal. I'm at a place now where I realize that a lot of people feel like that, but I feel like for me it's deeper because it's this intense shame and self-hatred that although I've healed from it a lot, it still comes up sometimes. And just like worrying about like rejection and being so scared that people are going to reject me or reject my podcast or listen and just be like, you suck or whatever. And I know it shouldn't matter, and maybe I'll cut this part out of this episode because I don't know if I want to be that vulnerable on here, but actually I think I will keep it in. It's scary being vulnerable, but it's important talking about this stuff, and this is a huge part of my journey. And I have my podcast because I've been through so much in life and I've struggled so much, more than the average person. And because of that, I can help other people with what I'm going through. And even if it's scary to be vulnerable in that way, I think it's important. And yeah, I'm at a place where all I want is to just better myself. Like all I can think about is I just want to be better and better. And I want to find who I am. For so long, I would be focusing on other people and like what they're doing and just being autistic, kind of just unintentionally copying other people because I didn't know myself and I didn't know what I was supposed to do, so I would just copy them. And like in a way, copying people is okay. That's something that I've recently realized, like it's just a part of being human. I always thought that I was just like this evil, horrible person because I was copying people, which I know like most people hearing that, they'd be like, what? But it's so normal for us to kind of become what's around us and notice people around us and do that stuff. But I think I did it on such a deeper level being autistic because I just truly didn't know who I was. But this episode did not go where I wanted it to go at all. I was going to talk about homemaking and like how to do all of that. But I do like it, and I think it's important to put this out and to be vulnerable. And for a long time I was like trying to force myself to be this perfect way for my podcast. Like I had to be this person that I was trying so hard to be instead of just being me. And all I want is to be authentic. Authenticity is one of the most important things to me in this time of my life. And I think motherhood really helped me realize that. Like even for the first couple of months of my baby's life, I would be watching other people and like seeing what they're doing with their babies, and then I would be like, oh, I'm not doing enough. Like I'm not dressing her good enough, or I'm not buying enough expensive clothes. Like here lately I've been like so addicted to like baby smocked clothing and like clothes that are like $45+ and I love that kind of stuff, and I think it's important to allow myself to buy that stuff for her. But it got to the point to where I was like so obsessed with it that I was scared of like sharing pictures of her not being in those expensive smocked outfits. And like also at the same time, I didn't even know if I liked that stuff. Now I know that I do really like that stuff. But anyways, back to what I keep on trying to say, like finding personal style. I think I'm gonna make a whole episode about that whenever I get to a place of like actually realizing what my personal style is. Or not realizing, I've realized what it is, but whenever I get to a place of like really dressing how I want every day, even on days that I'm just at home, and embodying who I am. And I was listening to a podcast, I can't remember what it is, but she was talking about like the 7 types of personal styles. And I took the quiz that she has, and that quiz gives you your top 3 styles, and mine were feminine, natural, and classic. 64% feminine, 18% natural, and 18% classic, which does sound completely correct for me, which is way different than my style before I had a baby. I was always the type that was like looking cute over comfort, and in a way I still am like that sometimes. Like I'm totally fine with wearing something that's uncomfortable if I look cute in it, and then the second I get home I'm throwing that thing off. But for the most part, I really just want to find things that are authentic to me and that will last, and that can help me create a capsule wardrobe and will really just show me, show who I am. And I never even thought about it, but like while I was listening to that podcast, she was saying that like your style is the first thing that people see, the first thing that people think about whenever they see you. That's like how they kind of view you, if that makes sense. And so whenever you're dressing in a way that doesn't represent you, it kind of doesn't really make any sense, which I totally get that. Like I really want to start dressing in a way that represents me, because a lot of the time I just wear like whatever. Like I'll wear a t-shirt and jeans and I don't even like the outfit, but I just threw it on. And especially since having my baby, it's just easier. And also at the same time, I've gotten rid of so many of my clothes that I barely have anything. But I'm not going to let myself commit to buying more clothes until I know for sure what it is that I want. I'm just focusing on creating Pinterest boards. And in the podcast that I was listening to, she gave a tip that was really helpful. She just said, like, create a Pinterest board for every type of event. Like if you're going to something formal, what would you wear there? Something casual, like running errands or whatever, what would you wear doing that? Or if you're going to like a birthday party or a baby shower, and just like kind of just make events and put them down and put what you would wear to those events, so that you always know like what you want to wear to those things. And you can make those boards private if you want, so that other people don't see them if you're one of those people that's like very focused on. I had to go pick up my baby because she started to fall asleep, so I don't remember what I was saying. But just like creating different Pinterest boards that will be really helpful. And then another thing that she said in that episode was to save things to those Pinterest boards that will match your colors, like after you do your color analysis. And you can do it for free on an app called Fitted. It's spelled with a Y. Hang on, I gotta look at it because I cannot spell things from memory. Fytted. You can get a free color analysis on the app, and you can do it multiple times. I don't think you have to pay extra. I did it multiple times because I did my baby and my boyfriend too, just to see. And I did myself multiple times, just trying different pictures just to see, like, just to make sure that it was correct. And I'm a soft autumn, but whatever you are, just kind of creating a wardrobe, or not creating a wardrobe, but creating Pinterest boards based off of those colors. And then also your body type. And this is something that I've really learned. If your body has changed, don't save things that you're wanting for whenever you hope that you lose weight or hope that you have a better body, because yeah, of course, like I said, you can focus on manifesting the body that you want, but for the time being right now, you need to have clothes that you want and that fit you. And if that means getting rid of things that you may want in the future, I think with an exception of like a designer item that you really like, that you know matches your style, or like a pair of pants that you absolutely love, like whatever it is. But if it's just something random and it doesn't fit you anymore, because you're just keeping it in your closet to wait and see whenever it does fit you, get rid of it, because it's only sitting there. And we need clothes in our closet that work for us right now. And if that means in the future you got to buy some more clothes, that's okay. And even if you don't want to just straight up get rid of them, you don't want to donate them or sell them, you can even like put them away in storage if like you know that the body you're manifesting is coming and those clothes are things that really match your personal style and are really important to you. Then you can put those away in storage if you have that available. I know for me, my boyfriend and I, we have a building at his grandparents' house, so I can store things in there. But for the most part, I haven't really done that because a lot of the clothes that I had before don't really match my style anymore. And some of them did. Like, I think for them, like, I think I did have an idea of my style. Like, it's not that I just straight up didn't know it all. I had an idea of things that I liked. And I was right about a lot of the things. It was just kind of the way that I was putting them together, the way that I was presenting myself. I didn't know how to use accessories, and I still don't really know. I'm getting better at that. But I've learned that I really like more dainty accessories, and before I didn't really wear super dainty accessories. It was more like bold necklaces, which I think is really pretty, and I think it works really well for some people, but that's just not me. But only save things in your Pinterest board that you love, meaning things that you love every aspect of it. Or if it's like one thing, try to remember that one thing that you love, because it might throw you off. Don't save things just because they're cute. And like really, really pay attention to what you like. If you look at that outfit and there's something that you don't like about it, probably don't save that outfit, because you might confuse yourself later on, and maybe you'll try on something like that and then it doesn't work, and then you realize that you didn't like it and you don't even know why it's on your Pinterest board. It's just there. So like really focus on only saving things that you like, and that means that it may take time of going through a lot of things, and that may mean that you have less stuff on your Pinterest boards, but you're creating these Pinterest boards for you and for making your personal style. And if you want, you could have like one big board that where you just save a bunch of things that like you find kind of cute, and then as you get closer to understanding your style, you could go back to that big Pinterest board and delete the things that you don't like, and then save the ones that you do to the appropriate board. I think that would work really great, and that's something that I've been doing. But just really notice like the things that you feel drawn to, the colors. And I know for me personally, and I think for a lot of people, you're naturally more drawn to the colors that are your colors, because that's what you were created for. Like you're on earth looking how you look for a reason. And your natural tones that you can't change, why not focus on enhancing those? Because that's your natural beauty and that's what was meant for you. So focus on like finding things that really resonate with you and are the colors that really make you stand out, and also will work on your body type. I used to be really bad about saving Pinterest photos or buying clothes that didn't work on my body type, and then I would try them on and I just absolutely hated how they looked and I never wore them, but I kept on buying them because they were cute, and like I would make TikToks showing them, but then I never actually wore them because I didn't like how they looked on me and they didn't work for my body type, but they worked for like the body types of the people that I was watching on TikTok, and that doesn't really help. And of course you can find inspiration through going on TikTok and watching people's videos, but you shouldn't just buy things just because someone else is buying them, just because it looks good on them. Really focus on if it looks good on you and if it matches who you are, matches your soul. If it's something that you see someone try and get on and they share their link in their Amazon storefront, and you go on there and you look at all the things that they have and you're like, okay, I'm just going to buy all these things that these people have. I've been there. I've saved like 1 million items that other people have on their Amazon storefronts or their link to know or link to know it. I don't really know how you're supposed to say it. Trust me, I know I've done all of that, but it doesn't help with finding your personal style. What it is that resembles who you are in this stage of life. And it's okay like to go a little bit off. Like I know for me, I'm a soft autumn, but I think like soft summer colors would look pretty good on me too. You don't have to stick strictly to that color palette only. Like for me, I'm supposed to avoid black, which I'm not going to avoid black because black is just kind of a staple in my wardrobe, but I do want to focus on wearing less black, or if I wear black, wear some like a cardigan or something that's a color that looks good for me, or if I wear black, wearing something that's like a lower neckline so that it's not as close to my face. And just like doing things like that and saving things that match your color palette and going out of your comfort zone to a certain extent. Like don't go out of your comfort zone as in you're wearing outfits that don't resemble you at all, but going out of your comfort zone with colors and like trying colors that you wouldn't think you'd ever wear. Like I've always really disliked purple, but purple is like a major color for me, like more muted purples, I guess that's how you would describe it. So just like really focus on all of those things, and I promise you over time you will find your personal style. Okay, this episode kind of just went all over the place, but I really do like it, and I hope you liked it too. Thank you so much for listening. See you next Sunday.